Hey everybody, welcome to the Wicked Sports Podcast for January 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Brian Marr. I just want to say, I really do appreciate you checking out the first two episodes of this rebooted Wicked Sports Podcast. Very excited to bring you some more news today, and very excited for the first time to incorporate one of our guest segments. We're going to be talking a little bit of hockey to Chris Uminski, but first, elephant out of the room. I guess elephant in the room. I wish the elephant were out of the room, but elephant in the room with the Dolphins, with my favorite team, Tyreek Hill. This is the Miami Minute, segment where we cover my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins, who, despite being eliminated last week from the playoffs, they got controversy. So first and foremost, Tyreek Hill, after the game, we all know this, he said he's out, brah. Not great. Kind of, leveled out a little bit with Mike McDaniel having his press conference and saying that, they've talked it out. They got it figured out. That's that. But there were a lot of players, Calais Campbell, Bradley Chubb, veterans of this who obviously disapproved of that. Bradley Chubb, especially in his exit interview from the team this week, he was not mincing words, saying that people were being late, and then that was followed up on by Mike McDaniel. Of course, the reporters, some of the best in the business down in South Florida, had to ask about those comments, and Mike McDaniel said that they're going to get it sorted out. He's fined the players who have done that. They've done it repeatedly. He's fined them repeatedly. So now something's going to have to be more drastic, as it doesn't seem the fines are getting through. And then all of this was compounded by the clip that we're going to show you right now of Jalen Waddle asking Tyreek Hill if he was leaving the game. There's also some Curb Your Enthusiasm music. When I first saw this clip, I thought someone edited it in. Other people have said that it was played at the stadium at the time. If that's true, I mean, serendipitous that this all happened. As the Dolphin season completely falls apart, we have the Curb Your Enthusiasm music. So check this clip out, and we'll be right back.
Hoping that he has his fourth of the day right here.
So, yeah, that's not a good look for, it's one thing to hear it happen. It's another thing to see it happen. And I guess here, it's one thing to hear that it happened, another thing to see it happen. So that left a lot of people upset, and then it kind of undermined Mike McDaniel's press conference from the day before. So then all of this is to say, last night during the Notre Dame and Penn State lead up, the coverage of ESPN being down there in South Florida, it's happening in Hard Rock Stadium. Tyreek Hill's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, comes to the stadium, goes on to the Pat McAfee show, talks about Tyreek Hill. Initially, is kind of seeming like, hey, everything's been worked out, just as we were talking about it. Tyreek and Mike McDaniel, they have an understanding. They've talked about it. He had some interesting things to say. First and foremost, he said, I believe Tyreek is a great asset to the Dolphins. And then kind of like a not nice thing he said, and I think that he's the least guy that people should be worried about for this organization. They have more worries. Tyreek Hill is not one of them. So, I don't know if that's true. I think he is a big worry for the Miami Dolphins. He is the star of the team, and right now he's not necessarily being the star. He is really causing controversy, and that's fine. You can care about your on-the-field accolades, winning on the field, or you can care about money coming to Miami. It did seem like it was more about the money, and then it's apparently about winning too. Can't have it both ways, unfortunately. So, I guess, what do you all think about this? Seeing Tyreek Hill quit on his team, does that make all of this worse for you? I'll be honest, it does make it a little bit worse for me as a viewer. Like, I knew it happened, but to see it happen, that's tough. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about that in the comments. All right, like I said, we're going to be talking about some hockey here. It's the Bruins specifically with Chris Uminski in our segment called Power Play. So I'm going to toss it to, well, past Brian at the time that I'm recording, but future Brian for you. Listen to that Brian and Chris talk about what is wrong with the Bruins. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this as his own clip, if you're watching in the podcast, welcome to Power Play. We're joined, as always, by Chris Uminski. Chris, how you doing?
Personally, I'm pretty good, but as a Bruins fan,
Yeah.
I've seen better days.
Yeah. So last episode, we talked a little bit about the Bruins and we were optimistic. I believe in the title for the last episode, we said maybe the Bruins not as bad as we thought. Chris, are they worse than we thought? Maybe lay it out there for me.
Well, we had a stretch there that we were playing a lot of good teams, doing well against them. Things looked good, but since then we have not won a game since, looking at my calendar here, December 23rd, since before Christmas.
Okay, so no wins in the new year. Sorry, December 28th. Okay, still not in the new year.
Yep.
0 for 2025 so far. And
last night, 6 in a row.
6 in a row. What is going on? So if you got to rant and rave, I'm sure there are plenty of people listening who would be happy to hear it. The floor is yours, Chris. What's the problem with the Bruins right now?
All right. So this offense is not producing. I am just looking at box scores right now. 1 goal last night, nothing against the Oilers. Had an okay game against the Islanders. Had an okay game against the Leafs. But all these 1-goal games, 2-goal games, shutouts, this can't happen anymore. You have to score. But then I think even worse, and this just speaks to a larger problem that I rant and rave about all the time on this channel, is goaltending. Goaltending is not where it needs to be. Jeremy Swayman has a huge contract that right now he is not living up to, and I don't know what happened. Two years ago, last year even, I'm saying Jeremy Swayman is one of the best goalies in the league, and now he's just, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we celebrated the contract before the season. We were like, this is great. Signed, we're good. Ready to go into the new year. And as would you qualify it as a disaster contract so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just straight up. I think it's better to just be straight up. Yes.
Yes. Yes. This is a goalie who has been a top caliber starter in this league, should be a top caliber starter in this league, but now I'm feeling the same way about him, the same way I felt about like the late days of Tuukka Rask, where he's in net. Is this gonna be, top tier, A tier caliber Jeremy Swayman, or is this gonna be a nightmare?
Right. Is there any way you see, like, what did he get hurt? Did he not train enough this offseason? Is it just he's a goalie and goalies can spin themselves out? What do you think the reason is for it right now?
I wonder if he's cracking under the pressure of being the only starter on the team.
Yeah.
He had a pretty nice thing going when we had Linus Ullmark, having the good tandem. They could just alternate games. I wonder if he's gassing himself. Because the goals against for us are even worse in this stretch. Like, just he's averaging four goals against a game, and that's just that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know too how much coaching and the front office has to do with this slide too, because it can't all fall on just goaltending.
Right.
Like, are the pieces there that really need to be there?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you'd say no right now, right? The pieces are not there.
Right now, I would say no. Yeah, the Bruins' development, I think was just graded and did not get a fantastic grade, which is pretty consistent since Don Sweeney has taken over.
Mm-hmm.
That our prospect pool just hasn't been up to caliber.
Do you think that will be? I don't know. Do you think Don Sweeney will get fired if this continues? Is what I'm saying.
I think it would take a losing season for Don Sweeney to get fired. Him and Cam Neely are boys. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
It's definitely a boys' club up there, but I think it would take a lot for him to get fired. Even though I think that change should be something that happens in the off season. I wouldn't do it right now,
Mm-hmm.
where we're halfway through the season and we already just got rid of a coach and we're trying to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Bringing in a new general manager right now just isn't feasible.
No, that of course makes sense. I mean, you can't fire both within a season. That's a little, tumultuous. That's a little bit like looking kind of bad as an organization entirely. But I guess all right, let's try to be optimistic, Chris. Let's spin it. Let's pull up the Bruins schedule going forward, maybe the next 5 games. Tell me where we get a win in any of these 5 games.
Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Let me see. Panthers. Nope, that's an auto loss.
Hold on. Let me bring it up for everybody here. Let me share the screen. Trying different things here, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can we do this? No. Okay, it's not going to work. All right. I'll put it in post. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, go through the games. Let's do it.
Yeah. So we got the Panthers tomorrow at 1. That's an auto loss. I'm not expecting to win that game. The Panthers are overpowered. Then we got the Lightning on Tuesday. Same deal. That's an auto loss.
0-2. State of Florida, not kind so far.
Then we got the Senators after that. And I think maybe there's potential for a win there.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that I've been ranting and raving about all season is that the Senators do have the goaltending advantage.
Right.
Of course, Linus Ullmark.
Mm-hmm. Our old friend.
Yep. But I think there's potential for a win there, though. We are 1 game ahead of them in the standings. Or 2, I should say. We have 4 points ahead of them. But then I think the definite win is going to come on Monday against San Jose.
Okay, that'll be 20 days into 2025. That'll be 10 games into 2025, or at least let's see. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 8 games. 8 games into 2025, we'll get the first win, hopefully. So I guess we'll see. We'll certainly have another show between now and then, so we'll be able to update us as we go along. But
Right.
bleak times, needless to say, for the Bruins right now. All right. Anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to?
I guess the last thing is we just had the World Juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Which Team USA taking home the gold once again.
Nice.
With,
Suck at Canada.
Yep, suck at Canada. Yeah, Canada's juniors team was bad this year.
Yeah.
They
Jeez. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Canada. I'll try not to lose any listeners. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
So we got a little bit of national pride there. USA always does well in the juniors. Speaks to our development programs here.
Mm-hmm.
But then the big announcement from the league this week was we know about next year's Winter Classic and outdoor series.
Yes. So we talked a little bit about where you thought it was going to be, and you were right.
Yes. So we've got 2 outdoor games in Florida next year. They are doing the Winter Classic. I think they're doing Panthers and Rangers in Miami.
Hard Rock Stadium.
Hard Rock.
We just saw Notre Dame defeat Penn State last night in Hard Rock. Glad somebody's playing this late in the season there, because the Dolphins certainly aren't, and probably will be the same next year when the Winter Classic happens.
Yeah. How's that going to be? A team that wins playing in that stadium?
I I don't know. I mean, if anything, I think the Panthers should be worried. Are they going to get the bad juju from the Dolphins when they're playing in there? Because I certainly don't see it going the other way.
Right, yeah, which is more contagious, the winning or the losing?
Yeah. In my 20 plus years of watching, it feels like the losing for the Dolphins at least.
Well, but then I guess the other side of the court is that the other outdoor game is going to be the Bruins and the Lightning playing in Tampa.
Yeah, it all almost came together for us. Like, oh, the Bruins are playing in Tampa. Damn. Okay. I wanted to go to Miami.
Yeah.
We'll see if we go to Tampa. That's the goal. Grow the show enough in a year to get press passes to go to Tampa. We'll get Jack. He lives down there. We'll go over and we'll hopefully watch the Bruins win. They'll be in a better
He lives in
position.
Lightning Country too. He can get in incognito.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, they'll take a look at us and they're like, those guys are very pale. They're very clearly from Massachusetts. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
very exciting. Sorry.
it will be exciting. I'm interested to see what kind of like ice making technology they're going to use in these
Yeah.
places. Well,
Yeah, because
is Hard Rock a dome?
it is not. It is partially covered. So
Okay.
it's very interesting when they play 1 o'clock games in Miami because it's like, it's the stadium and then there's canopies all around the floor and then it's just in the middle. The sun goes onto the opponent's bench. So
Right.
the opponents are in the sun, Dolphins are in the shade. That's the home field advantage the Dolphins have. I mean, some people say it's, cheating. Who's to say there? But yes, it's a huge advantage. We'll see if that will matter. I mean, it's gonna be hot. There's no two ways about it.
So you know what? That is I don't think that's cheating because that doesn't help them on like days that it's raining.
True, very true.
So
So yeah, the field gets very wet when it's raining. It's like the Cowboy Stadium where it's like it's open in the middle so God can watch it. I think that's the reasoning.
well, they did an outdoor game in Dallas this year. So
Okay. How'd that go?
it went good. That was an okay game.
Yeah.
I personally think the outdoor stadium series is getting a
Yeah,
little
this part of the stadium
out.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little played out, like stick to maybe one game.
Yeah.
But it's still a pretty cool thing.
Hey, you know how businesses are. They see something work and they're like, how do we run this into the ground as quickly as possible? Just gonna oversaturate. But I do think it's interesting to bring it to Florida. Like you said, we're gonna stay on top of the technology that keeps the ice, you know. Hopefully they won't have to. There was one year where they played somewhere and they said the ice was kind of gross, right? Do you remember that?
Uh
Maybe it happened multiple times at this point.
that might have been like Los Angeles or Washington.
Oh yeah, Los Angeles sounds right. But I was like, okay, this stuff isn't working that well. But you know, we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it nonetheless. And like I said, goal is to get us down there next year for the Bruins Lightning at the very least. I mean,
Yeah.
Miami and Tampa are not that close, so probably only one.
Unless we send two teams,
Yeah,
one to Tampa, one to Miami.
yeah. We'll send Rhett and Aaron and Ryan. I think Rhett knows a little bit about hockey. I don't know the other if they know anything about hockey, so that'll be interesting.
Aaron talks about the Capitals sometimes.
All right, so yeah, maybe Aaron's tapped in. I know Ryan is not, so
Right.
they'll just be there more for the laughs, the yuck.
Right.
So yeah, A and B team. We'll see how that all goes. All right, Chris, where can they find you online?
Best spot right now is probably gonna be TikTok, at Chris Uminski. I'm also on Blue Sky now. I don't know if anyone still uses that.
I don't think you told me. I'll go follow you now. Let me bring
Yeah,
it up.
that's a fairly new thing, and that's just at Chris Uminski also, I believe. I'm also in a band, Basics Plus. We're on all the social media.
All right, I followed you. Go follow Chris as well. Follow his band page. And yeah, anything else?
Nope, I think that'll do it.
Awesome. All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much for your time as always. Always very fun. And if you're watching the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about the Rams playoff game getting not rescheduled, moved to Arizona due to the fire. So go check that out. And if you're only here for the clip, understandable. We appreciate you either way. But yeah, we got a lot of content. We could get sports. We could get everything. Main channel just put out a fake nerds about Assassin's Creed getting delayed, about all kinds of video game news. Tango GameWorks reopening in Tokyo. If you're interested in video games, go check the main channel out and our podcast channel, Better Radio. This week we are launching a new podcast where we're recapping the traders called Meet You at Breakfast. If you watch that show, you'll understand the reference there. If you don't, go check out Peacock, check out the traders. Very fun. Heard someone refer to it as reality TV Super Smash Bros. Because they bring people from all over the map to play this game. And yeah, other than that, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, so an unfortunate thing has happened in California. If you've been paying attention to the news at all, you are undoubtedly aware that a lot of Los Angeles area has caught on fire. Tons of people have lost their homes. That is what's most important here. Of course, this is a sports show, so we're going to relate it to the story that's affecting sports coming out of there. But if you're able, and if you'd like to donate, I'm going to have a link to an organization that helps with relief for fires, helps people who've lost everything. It'll be down there, top link in the description. So, as I said, there are sports ramifications of the wildfires happening in California, and those are the Los Angeles Rams, who are playing the Minnesota Vikings. That game is supposed to be in Los Angeles. The Rams won the NFC West. They were going to host a playoff game. I'd imagine to most people in Los Angeles right now, the playoffs are the last thing on their minds. For a lot of the players, they have to be, worried, distracted, worried about, are they going to lose, you know, any family members? Are going to lose their house? Like, what are they going to do? So that's probably distracting. And eventually, unsurprisingly, it was announced that the Rams and Vikings wildcard game will be moved to Arizona and will be played in a neutral site there. So it does suck for the Rams, right? They've earned this home playoff game, and now on top of everything else, on top of everything they've had to deal with this whole week, now they have to travel to Arizona, which of course isn't that far, but still it's traveling during a very tumultuous time in these athletes' life when, they're worried about so much not to do with the game, and they have to play the Vikings, who, are unaffected by all of this. If anything, it's a little bit of a shorter trip, so that plays into the Vikings' hand there. And, it's just an unfortunate situation for the Rams to be in from a competitive standpoint, right? You love home games because you get to stay at home, don't have to worry about hotels. It's just an easier preparation for these players. And now that's being taken away despite them earning it through no fault of their own. Just, a crazy situation that happened in the Los Angeles area. And I do wonder, like, I did pick the Rams to win this game, but are they going to be at a slight disadvantage because of everything going on? Maybe. I did hear some, like, former athletes kind of talk about it like, hey, this sucks, but I can't control the wildfire. I can only react to it. I can control what I do on the field, and it will be like a potentially nice distraction for these players to have something to worry about for 3 hours that isn't this horrible situation happening back at home. I'm not a professional football player. I'm not a former professional football player. I don't know how accurate that is. It seems, at face value to make sense, but again, not someone who would be an expert on any of this. So just a very tough situation. Again, if you're able to, if you'd like to, link in the description. And if you can't, maybe, share some various charities that are going to help people. There are a lot of people who've lost everything. It's incredibly tragic to see. And a lot of times you can see these horrible things happen and you feel hopeless because you can't help it all. Even sharing a link is helpful. So that's what I'm doing here. Hopefully, you will do the same. And that's that's it for this segment. Let me know your thoughts about how this pertains to the Rams and Vikings playoff game in the comments. And that is it for this episode of the Wicked Good Sports podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. The next time I will be talking about anything on the podcast will be after this weekend's games. We'll have a lot more to talk about there. If you enjoyed it, please stick around on the channel, Wicked Good Sports. Also, check out our sister channel, Swinging the Shins, where that is a podcast specifically about the Premier League under the Wicked Good Everything umbrella. But all our other podcasts are on the Better Radio channel. Please go check that out. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.